Hello everyone. I hope that you are all well and working hard on your businesses and your life as well, and creating the best life possible that you love to live and enjoying the work that you want to do. So please forgive the noise in the background. It's my son having a great time playing on his Xbox because it's a bank holiday today, but I had to get these videos out to you very quickly. So today I wanted to share with you, it's the end of the month and it's review time. At the end of every month we review. So each month I'm going to come and remind you about reviewing what has gone on in the past month so that we can prepare and continue to grow in the month that is coming ahead of us. So this month it's the first thing I want you to do is list the highlights of your month. List the highlights of the last 4 weeks. We cannot keep just going through the year month after month after month, week after week, and without looking back and thinking, well, what went well? What did I do so well in that month? And even if you did that on a weekly basis, to do it at the end of the month would be so much easier. So how would you do this? I would suggest that you look at the calendar in your phone, because that's what I actually had to do to see what my appointments were and find out, what meetings I attended and things like that. So I'd have an idea of what actually clicked for me this month. You can also check your, look at your diary as well, and also in your journal. So check those things, and just remember, did you go out with your girlfriends and say, yeah, that was the highlight of my month? And that's fine. We're not just talking about business highlights here. We're talking about anything that really took you to the next level. It upgraded your joy, it just ignited you again, it just made you feel just sharper than you normally do as well. So a highlight for some may be that you took a walk in a park that you'd never been in before, because it's something that was on the back of your mind. You just decided that day, I'm jumping off the bus, stopping at that stop, and I'm just going to find that park or drive to it and take a walk in the park for 20 minutes. Brilliant. High five. Woo. Well done. So find out what the highlights were for your month. Do not start May without checking back and seeing what were the highlights for April 2015. My highlight for April 2015, was it was my birthday. It was brilliant. I really had no idea of what to expect, but it turned out my husband had planned to take me up to Shepherd's Bush, Westfield's shopping centre. And there I was able to shop. He just gave me a budget and said, go shop. And he walked around with me. He helped me. He shook his head and said, no, no, no. He nodded his head and said, yes, 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 go for it, do it, encourage me. And at the end of it, we stopped in a wine bar and had some excellent wine. It was gorgeous. It wasn't the best of days in terms of the weather, but we stayed in a bar where there was one of these heaters above your table, which was brilliant. I sat in my whatever cool jumper and felt I was in the Mediterranean. So that was a highlight for my month. Nothing to do with business, nothing to do with anything, that is about something serious and major, but it was for me a highlight. So likewise, look back and check in your diary and see what were the highlights of your month. My expectation is that every week we should have something exciting and stimulating and inspiring that we're doing, that we would be able to record a highlight. So by the end of the month we would have 4 highlights, and these highlights would impact different areas of our lives. Our wealth increase, they would highlight show an increase in our health, they would show our social life, they would show our business life, highlights in every area. So don't just limit it to, is my business working well, because we're looking at the whole picture of our lives, not just business. Success in every area is my motto. So please do that. Firstly, before you continue on with this month, please do that. The next thing to check is shifts. I call it shifts. What shifted for you this month? What went from here to there this month? In your mind, in your thinking, in your mind, in your thinking, what shifts can you record for this month? For instance, I shifted in my thinking from, I was going through a phase where I was so driven by I've got to do this and I must do this and I've got to do it this way, and this is a way that I have to blog, and this is the way I've got to do different things that I'm learning. and it was really just pushing me, like somebody just pressing me from behind, just every day, every morning that I got up, you know. And I don't really enjoy living life that way. I don't see that anybody else would, and I wouldn't encourage any woman to be living life that way. Whether we have, you know, things we must do and have to get done, there's a way to approach it that brings us joy, gives us peace, and gives us a sense of satisfaction at the end of the day, not a sense of being beaten to the ground until you've got no more to give. No. So what were the shifts in your thinking this month? Some of the shifts I would expect are you've gone from thinking negatively about something to thinking much more positively about it. Being able to be patient where you were possibly impatient with someone, something, or a certain situation. Even with yourself, being more patient with yourself. Another thing is a shift where your things that you thought were impossible for you to do, you're now believing that they're possible for you to do. Maybe you've read a great book. A great book I'm reading this month is called The Big Leap by Gary Hendricks, I believe his name is, if I've got it correctly. Oh, it's amazing. He's showing me so many things, which I will share with you later on. But it's just shifting my thinking, absolutely shifting my thinking, and allowing me to learn why it is that I do things in a certain way or come up against certain blocks as I'm progressing. So what were the shifts in your thinking for this month? Record that because that's a real positive. The next thing to look at is your habits. You know, I'm all for habits. Small habits create huge success in your daily lives. So what habits have you started that have fitted in really well? So for instance, I have started the habit of, instead of get up in the morning and jumping onto Facebook and checking up who's, you know, bought my products or who has spoken to me on Facebook or anything like that, I now get up and I come downstairs and I have my devotion time. And it is amazing the difference of how I face the day. Again, it's helped me with that feeling of being driven. I'm less driven, more focused, more at peace, more balanced, more able to contend with anything that comes in my direction. And I love it. So that was a change in my habits. So for you, please check what habits are you trying to establish in your life? What routines, what practices are you trying to embed to help you to become the person you need to be? Are they working well? Are some of them just not fitting in well? You've got to keep tweaking, or have some of them you just not started at all? So for the ones you've not started, I would suggest you don't give up. If it's, for instance, like myself, I've not started my exercise program and I have it in the back of my mind, but maybe it's because I'm trying to do so many changes in so many different areas that I just cannot do that at this time. So do not give up on the habits you haven't been able to address, but just as you go through this review, check and see if you can try and include them softly, in a softer way, in a much more basic way, as you go into the next 4 weeks, the next month of this year. So the next thing to look at, so you've looked at reviewing your month, the highlights of the month. We've looked at shifts that you've had in your thinking, your thought processes. We're looking at habits and how well you're able to establish them in your life. And the last thing to review is figures. We're looking at the numbers game. You know, business people say, without knowing your numbers, you're not getting anywhere, you're not going anywhere. We can't bury our head in the sand about the numbers. And there are lots of numbers and stats and figures that you may want to look at, but figures, just have a heading there, figures, and look at what figures are relevant for you. The first thing for anybody is expenses. What have I had coming in this month? What have I had going out this month? Have I, been within my balance? Have I overspent? Have I underspent? Did I invest well? Did I include personal development training in there? What did I do with the money that I had, and how did I manage it? The next thing to check is stats for your business. For instance, on a blog, if you're running a blog or website, you want to know how many people visited your website, how many came and were converted into sales on your website, because that's the point of a website. How many people have signed up for your newsletter as well? How many new people have come to your website? You want to check all the stats that are relevant for your business. If you've got a product, you want to know how many sales that you sold in that month. What was the popular product that month? Can you do something similar? Will you do more of the same? Will you promote that better? What was it? If the stats are relating to weight, for instance, you want to lose weight, gain weight. You know, I've got some sons who are wanting to gain weight, so that would be sorry about that. That would be their stats that they're looking at. I never look at those stats. I am all about losing the weight. So, you know, if for you that's really relevant and your priority for this year, you would need to be checking and tracking your weight. And the last bit is another thing to look at is exercise, for instance. We all have the Fitbit that we put around our wrist, when we're running to see how many steps we take. Are you measuring up to your target? Are you doing it? If you're not doing it, can you make some improvements to do it better? Check your stats. Check your stats, ladies. Check your figures. Let's get savvy with this and not bury our head in the sand or leave it to Prince Charming to come along and show us how to do it or do it for us. Let's start doing it for ourselves. So just to summarize, for this review for the month of April, which has just gone, we're going to list the highlights of the month, for one. Secondly, we're going to look at the shifts in our thinking that has occurred this past month, shifts in our thinking, positive shifts in our thinking to make us more productive, more successful, more focused. We're going to thirdly look at habits. What did we do with our habits? Did it work well? Didn't it work well? What can we do to improve? And lastly, we're going to look at the figures that impact our lives, to improve us, to give us more success, to cause us to grow, prosper in the things that we're striving to achieve this year. So I'll leave that with you. Please come back to me and let me know if this speaks to you, if this helps you, and if there is anything further that you'd like me to dig a little bit deeper into. And of course, if you need to speak with me, come on to Facebook. I'm there at Charmaine A. Odushina, and let's connect by private message, or you can book a call with me during the week. So see you in the next video.